Hey guys, welcome back to TomGirl. This is episode 54, and I have Audrey Walters. She is actress, adventurer, and entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Oh yeah, Rocky Mountain High, because I have a Denver, Colorado girl in the house. Thanks for joining TomGirl. I'm JJ Jurgens, and this is where we talk all things sports, entertainment, fashion, and adventure. And today we have a very special guest with Audrey. She is an actor, adventurer, and entrepreneur, and you're going to be able to see her in theaters this Friday in her new film called Arizona, alongside Danny McBride, Luke Wilson, Rosemary DeWitt, and Caitlin Olsen. So thank you so much for joining us today, Audrey.
Well, thank you for having me.
And she flew all the way from Colorado, from Denver today.
I did.
I don't think anybody's ever done that, right? You win.
It's a really easy trip.
That's awesome. So I picked this song for you because of that, and you said you and your family love to play John Denver songs in the van too.
Absolutely. We're totally John Denver fans. We've created a Walters family playlist, and all the John Denver songs are at the top of that.
I love it. It's just when you're in Colorado, you just have to play it. I mean, it's so fitting with the beautiful the Rockies.
Is.
Yeah.
It's picturesque, and you're just listening to the music, and you're like, oh, this is heaven. It's awesome.
It is. You see where you got the inspiration for his music, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, let's talk new film, Arizona, this Friday.
Yes.
So tell me about this film.
Yes, this film was such a blast. We had such a great time. I'm so excited it's going to be in theaters and on video on demand this Friday. So I worked a lot with Rosemary DeWitt, and she was just such a phenomenal person and a great person to work with. We had some fun scenes together and lots of running and action happening in this film, which I really, really loved. And side note, it just was wonderful to get to know her and her family. Her daughters were on set and her husband was on set. And so it's always fun to work with someone who you respect so much. And it's weird because I had just watched Rachel's Wedding before I even knew I was going to be working with her. And have you seen that movie?
I haven't, actually.
Oh my gosh, you really should see it, because it just brought back all this stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Rosemary DeWitt. This is Rachel's Wedding. And you know, like whenever you've seen someone's work, you just feel like you kind of know them in a way. So I felt like we had like a really instant connection. And
how funny that you watched it right before you got it.
I know, exactly. Yeah, it was kind of a cool thing. But it was a great film. Especially, like, you know, just a great cast, lots of funny people. We had lots of laughs, that's for sure.
So now, for those who don't, like, I watched the trailer, so it's described as a dark horror comedy, you know? So let's talk about some things that, I don't know how much you can spill, but I mean, stuff that we see in the trailer. A little bit more about this film.
There is a lot of blood, and there's definitely that, that horror film vibe to it, you know, but I think it comes kind of like they try to make it lighthearted in a way, so it feels a little campy at times.
Yeah. So Danny McBride is the murderer, right? Like it's set in, I think, 2009 during the real estate kind of crisis. And,
right.
Yeah.
Well, the premise was that this place in Arizona was building all these houses, and they were doing a shoddy job. So, like, basically, you know, like you might like lean up against a wall and then it would like fall over or something. Like, I mean, that's kind of dramatic, but that was sort of the whole premise of this whole housing development that was like booming and building, but really wasn't doing a really great job of building, you know, really good homes. So
tell us about your role in the film.
So I play a part of a couple that is looking for a home in the housing development, and Rosemary DeWitt is a real estate agent, and so she's showing us homes, and we have some fun experiences house hunting together, and then we hear some screaming and some turmoil going on, and then it proceeds from there. So yeah.
I love it. I love horror movies. Yeah,
it'll be great. We definitely had a lot of fun, and it was it was hilarious because I got a lot of running in and a lot of steps in high heels.
Ooh.
And it was funny. By that point, Rose turned around and she was like, "Oh, I've been running in heels this whole entire film because I trashed these heels that I was putting. Like the whole heels were all like torn up because we were running in rocks and stuff." And anyway,
How were your knees after that one?
Oh, good question. Exactly. I know. I think I just like laid down for a couple of days. I was like, okay, I definitely need a hot bath and just to chill for a while.
Have your husband do some foot rubs?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I know.
How did the audition process for that one go?
So let's see. Good question. I can't remember if I auditioned in person for that one. I did. I auditioned in person for the callback. I taped my first round of audition for that one, and then I was in person for the callback. And so it was pretty seamless. It was like every other audition. As you can see, I can't even remember. They all kind of run together after a while, which is different because I want to say the last 3 things I booked, I haven't even been in person for, which is interesting.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because you're in Denver, Colorado, is your home,
but then my home.
But you're working on a bunch of projects out here. So how does that work? Being able to just put yourself on camera, or how are you having a hard time? Or I mean, apparently you're not. But tell me about how you're like managing to be there and work out here.
Oh, it's evolved so much. When I didn't start acting until just 10 years ago, in my mid-30s. So I'm pretty fairly new-ish to acting, but I've had some good luck. And back when I'd say 8 years ago, even probably 5 years ago, I would make a point to travel out to every audition if at all possible, if I could make it work. And I still do. It's just that more and more taping is the norm. And so it's kind of interesting because you're not just competing with the actors in that market. You are competing with all the actors in the entire world who have the ability to put themselves on tape. So in one sense, it's a little more competitive to get those roles, but then on the other hand, it certainly is more convenient.
Yeah.
Although I will say, I really do not mind the audition process. It is daunting, but I think there's something really magical and fun about being in the room and getting to work with the casting director, especially whenever maybe they see some potential and they're like, oh wait, I think that this person might be great for this, and let's tweak it this way and let's tweak it that way. So I really love to be in the room, and I try to make that happen as much as humanly possible. Thank goodness that I have lots of miles. And maybe my son will become a pilot, and so then I'll really get some good flight benefits. But I really try to make it work as much as possible.
Did you always feel that way, or was it a time when you were first starting out, were you nervous for auditioning, or was it always just like, no, this is my opportunity?
I'm a weirdo. I just love people. So I just, for some reason, I don't get that nervous in the audition setting. And I've always kind of had this attitude of take me or leave me in a way. And I hate to say that, like not not in a rude sense. It's just like, you know what? I'm going to do my job. I'm going to prep. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do the best that I possibly can. And if I'm right for the role, I just have faith that it's going to work out. And if I'm not right for the role, it's okay. Something else will come around. So I just don't hold that like huge value in it to make myself nervous, if that makes sense.
Totally. How much of that do you think, because you said, you started later than most actresses.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think a lot of that is because of where you're at in your life and having the confidence at your age versus when you're younger and maybe girls are a little more, not insecure, but not knowing themselves as much yet?
Oh, absolutely. If I had started, acting in my 20s, and I don't know for a fact, but if I had, I just think I would have been a different human, and it would have just been a different experience for me altogether. Already having a life that I've established and being so completely grounded with 3 kids. I mean, like I would go and I would work with Robert Redford, for example, or something like that, and I'd come home and people would be crying and fighting, and I'd have to make dinner and stuff. I'm like, okay, you're not like living on the high horse here. It's a reality check. So, you know, I do think that, yeah, being older, being established, having a family has served me well in this business, and it's worked out. So,
and I know I listened to some other interviews. So you made the choice before that you wanted to be there full time with your kids. So you took the 13-year break because before you were studying in journalism, correct?
Yes. That's right. Yeah. It was really important to me to be there for my kids, and it still is. I kind of have that FOMO because I just try to do everything that I possibly can, and sometimes I make myself a little bit crazy doing that. But I just want to, right now, my kids are a senior in college, senior in high school, freshman in high school, and I look back and I think, I really didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
I was there for them, and I still am. And to me, that's where my heart is. And I actually tried. My husband was in medical school, and we had no money. We were totally broke. And I tried to get a job like at Talbot's or something. And I went and I worked for 2 days and took my son to daycare, and I just cried, and I was like, I can't do it. So I just wasn't, it wasn't for me to drop them off somewhere. I really just wanted to be there for everything. So I feel so blessed that I had that opportunity, and we made it work even though we had no money.
Yeah. No, and how great for you now, too, to have that whole experience and now getting this next chapter for you where you're getting to pursue your career. Can you talk to me about that decision? Because I know, tell me if you had the voices where people out here think, oh, Hollywood, you're too late to be starting at 30. And, you know, obviously age is always a conversation with women out here, unfortunately. But so what was that process like for you, deciding to go for it?
Well, so when I finally had kind of made the choice, all my kids have gotten a little bit older, and I started seeking out some hobbies that fulfilled me, and acting was one of them. And as I entered acting, and it just fed my soul, and I enjoyed it so much, and I realized it made me a better mother because I was pursuing something that I enjoyed. And yes, I was so much later and so much older than everyone else who's been doing it for so long. However, I had a fresh drive to do it. So where maybe somebody started in their 20s, and by the time they got to be 35, they were like, oh my gosh, I'm so burnt out. I've been through the ringer. I don't want to do this anymore, and now I want to have kids. That was flipped for me. So where I did the whole thing of raising my kids and doing all that, and I was just ready to roll. So I definitely have had some feedback that, I mean, I am older and it's harder to do it, but I don't know, I just don't let it get to me. I guess I'm stubborn as can be. I'm a Taurus, and I just believe too much that this is what I'm meant to be doing, and I enjoy it too much, and things keep happening. So I'm like, all right, bring it on.
Yeah, good for you. I love it. That's the kind of attitude to have. I think it's fantastic. Especially now, I mean, especially in the age we're in, where there hopefully are going to keep being more and more wonderful roles for females, because there are some great roles for women out there.
There are.
Yeah. What's like an ideal role you would love to, or dream role you would love to have?
Okay. Well, I would love to have a role of a female who fights and stands up for a wrongdoing and wins. Kind of like an Erin Brockovich or something like that. That would just be awesome. I would love to do that because it's in my heart that I always am rooting for the underdog, no matter what. And I would love to really dive into a character and get to know the ins and outs of a woman who has had a huge fight like that and won. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, all right, you just put it out there. Put it out in the universe for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You have another role, another movie coming out. You were in Big Kill. Let's talk about that. I think we have some pictures of you from that as well. So up there, they're going to share. So you can talk about these a little bit.
Yeah. So that's Big Kill, and that's Jason Patrick, and he was so much fun to work with. He plays a mean man in this movie. I was the madam in the whorehouse, so everyone knew me. Or I knew
friendly.
him, or something like that. I was in hair and makeup for an extremely long time. I think I sent you the one where I had like curlers in my hair, just because every single day when I would show up at set, that was the first thing I would do. I would go to the makeup trailer and they would roll up my hair in these little roller thingies, and I would be in those for like a long time. My hair was so fried by the time this movie was over with. But the costumes that we all had were just amazing. And that was one thing that it really just let it all sink in to, the era you were in and the place that we were. We were on this old Western set that it just felt really, really magical in a way to be able to work on that set. And once we were all in our outfits, Lou Diamond Phillips had the best wardrobe you will see. I've never seen him in wardrobe like that, and I'm sorry I don't have a picture of him that I sent over, but
I saw him in the trailer
I'm sure
too.
I'm sure you can see like what he was wearing, and Danny Trejo's outfits were totally awesome. I just felt like that there was so much thought that went into this film, and when we made it, it was a lower budget to start off with, and then these names started joining the cast, and it kind of grew from there. But every little detail was just so planned out and intricate. It was awesome. I think it's going to be great.
When can people see this one?
So that's going to be either late September, early October, sometime this fall. It'll be in theaters as well. And it's just going to be a great film. We had a great cast, great crew. The whole team just was great.
How would you describe the main premise of that one?
So that one, the fun thing is, it is a Western that it has a lot of comedy to it. But Westerns always have their fair share of drama as well. So it's kind of like these two city guys who go in search of, they go from town to town because they're always making everybody mad everywhere that they go. And they run into this guy, and then they end up going to the town of Big Kill. And then the story takes off from there. But they're definitely characters. Scott Martin was the director, and he was also one of the actors in the film. And he's just so talented. And he had this whole team of actors that he put together that one was his wife. Some of them are his like really close friends. And I guess they've all met in an acting class out here in LA together. And so they work together a lot and make films. And it was just such a great dynamic because they all have this fantastic working relationship, but they welcomed in, us outsiders.
Yeah.
And we just had a great time on set. Yeah.
We've had lots of fun because I know, let's talk about some of your other, you've also worked with Robert Redford.
Yes.
Talk about, what did you think when you first met him?
Oh, when I first saw him, and he was walking towards me, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Robert Redford. I just was like, wow, he's so handsome. And he is. He's just like, and it's not just his looks, although he's just such a handsome 80-year-old man, it's his aura and his energy. He just is this power force, but yet this kindness to him. And you just can't help but respect that. Yeah.
Yeah, just a legend. Oh, yeah.
A legend for sure.
And then one of your other big TV roles was on Preacher.
Yeah.
What was your experience like on Preacher?
Preacher was such a great show to work on because you never knew what to expect. it's such a quirky series, and it was just action packed constantly. You just never knew what was going to happen next. So, but then again, the whole entire cast and crew were just so grounded, and that one was another one that filmed down in New Mexico. And I have to say, being in New Mexico when you're on location for a film like that, it just has a different vibe. And everyone is just kind of like, all right, we've wrapped, so now what? Let's hang out, let's do this, let's do that. But
just because you're all there and
exactly,
like not like in a big...
Yeah, you're all on location. It's not like everyone's going home to their families or back to their houses or apartments or anything like that. So, but it was a great show. I was so happy to see how well received it was, and that they've made more seasons of it. Yeah.
Well, you also, you just do so much. There's so much to talk about, but I really am fascinated by, you're also the CEO of your own project, a youth program called Talk to the Camera.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah.
I'm like, describe this.
Okay. So, Talk to the Camera is an after-school program and summer camp enrichment program where my business partner and I started it years ago because we noticed that a lot of kids' social communication skills are very different now than they were years ago when we didn't have cell phones and electronic devices that they were constantly glued to.
When we talked to each other.
Exactly. We actually had conversations and made eye contact. And so we developed this program and kind of melded both of our backgrounds. And the first class we ever taught was Make Your Own News Broadcast. And the premise of our classes was we would have some kind of on-camera activity. We would introduce to the kids. They would go on camera. They would watch themselves back. And then we would give positive feedback to them, always just positive feedback. We wouldn't ever point out anything negative that they were doing. We just try to like really boost their confidence and build them up. And then they would go back on camera. And we just saw these kids that light bulbs were going off. Their confidence was boosted. We work a lot now, and we've grown a lot. We now work in a lot of inner city and lower socioeconomic areas, and can use grant money to bring these programs to those kids too. We've worked with kids with a lot of different special needs. And let's see, one of my favorite stories was we had this kiddo in one of our classes who was he was on the spectrum for autism. And his mom said, I really just put him in this class because I felt like it would be really good for him to boost his confidence, and so he could kind of work on his communication skills, because we make movies with kids, we make YouTube video, sorry, I call it YouTube because we call it YouTuber in our program, and we do all that. But at the base of all of it, it's all about building their confidence and teaching them something new. And he struggled a lot with eye contact, and which is pretty typical of a kiddo like that. And by the last class, he made eye contact with me and eye contact with the camera. And so we just have lots of like fun things that have been happening like that. So as we grew in the whole Denver metro area, now we've launched franchises, and we have New York City launching in another couple of weeks, and Virginia and Orlando all launching in a couple of weeks.
Oh, that's congratulations.
So thank you. Yeah. That'll be really exciting. We're pumped to be able to share this program.
Can you talk a little bit about the business side of that? Like how that's been growing that and franchising it, developing it?
Absolutely. So my business partner, Jenny Gilbert, she is a teacher and that's her background. So she brings a wealth of knowledge with working with elementary school kiddos. And so we started teaching these classes in 2013, and we would teach them all together at first, and then we got into so many schools that we split up, and we would each go to a different school every day of the week. And then we started getting more schools, so we started hiring more people, and we brought on a team member, Rebby, who really helped us branch out and grow in more of Denver. So now we are in so many schools in Denver, we kind of gotten to that point where people were reaching out to us actually all over the place, from Texas, like where I grew up, from California, from Florida, from Virginia. All these people were reaching out and saying, I want to do what you're doing, but can I do it here? And so we started going through the steps of franchising, and that's been a huge learning process for both of us. And once we started doing that, we realized this is actually a great thing. And not only can we take it out and share it with kids everywhere, but we're also empowering adults who get to like change kids' lives, and it changes their life because of it. So yeah, it's been a huge learning process, a lot of work, and Jenny and I have lost a lot of sleep, but you know, we're there.
What are some of the things you say that surprised you that you did learn either about franchising or about doing this that you're like, oh, never knew that was coming?
Oh my gosh, we have learned so many things along the way. Like we just had so many like growing pains is what we call it, and Jenny and I will get going. What happened especially was once Rebby joined our team, and she was like such a go-getter, and she's like, we're going to grow this company, we're going to take it to all these places, and we're like, yes, we are. And then we're like, oh my gosh, we look at each other, we are? How are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? And so, but we did, and so we got, all of a sudden we had this whole term at first, we were like, we just grew too fast. We just grew too fast, because it was constantly us trying to catch up to like, oh my gosh, we're so big. Now what do we do? Now what do we do? And so we then when we finally got caught up, then it was another growing pain and another thing to kind of stair step. So I would say now, and we always say, oh, and then we went through our terrible twos the second year, you know, and now that we're kind of like past the toddler phase of our business, we finally had this acceptance that things are just going to be crazy sometimes, but we can't freak out. We just have to keep moving forward with all of it. And I've learned a lot about the legal side of stuff. I've also learned that lawyers pretty much always tell you everything you don't want to hear.
They don't have the right answers for you, huh?
Yeah. Because we'll have these great ideas, and so then we're like, okay, but we have to get it approved by our lawyer, of course, right? We go to the lawyer, okay, this is what we want to do. No. No, and I'm like, what do you mean no? I mean, come on, no, there's got to be a way we could do this. Well, I'm just not real comfortable with you doing that. And I'm like, okay, just tell me how you'll be comfortable, because this is happening.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So that's probably been the biggest learning thing is working with lawyers and using like legalese and that type of stuff.
What has it changed or brought out in your personality? Have you had to like learn to push through things like that, or to be more assertive, or what kind of things like that have you grown?
I have learned to be more direct. When Jenny and I first started out, we never wanted to hurt each other's feelings. So, and you know, you have a business partner, that's like having a life partner. And we've been together now for 5 years. So at the beginning, we'd be like, well, you know, I don't want to, here's what I'm thinking. And we would just, and then finally now we're like, we call each other, we're like, okay, do this, do that, so I definitely learned to be more direct, and that has served me well in all of my areas of life, because growing up Southern, I do think that sometimes we the way I was raised was to kind of sugarcoat things, and if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And now I'm just like, if it's not nice but it's real, it's getting said because it needs to be said so we can move forward. Yeah.
How do you think now, like you kind of said, between your your personal life, your acting life, your CEO life, all of it, like how does it all kind of blend together, and does each one kind of feed off each other?
Yeah. You know, when we started to talk to the camera and we started to experience a lot of growth, and Jenny and I had made the decision where we're going to do this. This is something we want to do, and we want to take it everywhere. I did feel that every experience that I'd had up in my life up to that point led me to have the knowledge base that I needed to be able to talk to the camera and to share it with the world. And I know that sounds crazy. And Jenny and I always said, we're going to build an empire. We're going to build an empire. And every acting job that I've had, I learned something from it. And then I'll go and I'll teach it to the kids. I'll say, hey guys, I was on this one set and we did, you know, I'll just tell them like an experience, and then they learn something from that, and then they take that into making their movies. And then some of those, we've had kids that we taught when they were in elementary school who now have become actors and have gotten into filmmaking and gone to college and learned they're doing filmmaking. And we have kid ambassadors who started taking our classes too, so it all just flows. My entire family has taught a talk to the camera class or been included in it in some way, shape, or form. And my 3 kiddos all tried acting at some point or another. And they all had some good, success with it. They each did some commercials, some modeling, some film, and they all decided it wasn't for them. So that's good for them. However, I do feel that having those experiences and them putting themselves out there, did give them some poise and some confidence in those abilities. So yeah, it's a family business. Even me coming here today and going on my acting jobs, I do feel like it's something that we've all kind of done together, because while I raised them for so long, then I still raised them, and they helped me sort of foster my career as an actor. And even before they even knew what it was, now it's kind of fun because they're like, oh, wow, in theaters, Mom? Way to go. That's great, So my careers, both of them, are together.
Or all 3.
Or all
acting,
of it.
CEO, mother.
I feel like it's just something we've done together as a family, every single one of them. And that's why I love what I get to do. I think I would have had a hard time if I didn't have my family's blessing and their support and their cheering me on.
Yeah. How big have they been when there are times when maybe either you were discouraged or thinking you didn't want to go through with, maybe the business was too tough or the acting was too tough?
Yeah.
Times like that?
I just have this weird personality that I don't believe any negativity. And so we've had a lot of tough times. But I just always am solution-minded. And so and this is probably part of the reason that my family has been so supportive, is I tend to not share a lot of the negative stuff with them. Even whenever I go on auditions, I don't share that with everyone. I just don't, because then you have to have everybody asking you, how did it go? Who's it? Oh, did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? And I would just rather not have to say, no, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
So I just don't tell people. Sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to a meeting or something like that, because I just felt like it didn't serve very well. My family, I tell, but they know not to ask me a lot about how did it go? How did it go? How did it go? Because I don't know. It's just part of the process. And I like to share in the successes with them. So I guess with my family, I haven't really shared a lot of negative. Of course, sometimes I have days where it's really, really rough. And in particular, especially whenever I'm working in a school and with kiddos that you see some sad things going on. And that, I would say, is what affects me the most. And my son Jack, who's almost 18, he's a senior in high school. He worked in a Title I school. I don't know if you know what a Title I school is. It's a very high for free and reduced lunch. So it's like 99% have a free and reduced lunch. And it was really eye-opening for him too. And it's same thing if you play a character as an actor that is sort of takes a lot of your heart and your energy. I feel the same way in the classroom. Sometimes you work with some kiddos and it takes a lot of your heart and your energy, and it's hard to kind of bounce back from that. But I do feel that sharing that piece of it with my family is something that just grounds all of us and connects us a little.
Do you have what are your other go-tos? Are you to stay balanced? Because you are so positive and bright. Are you a yoga person, a fitness person, workout? What's your thing?
All of the above. I love to hike, love to get out. I mean, there's plenty to do in Colorado.
Yes.
We've gone skiing. We go skiing. I do a lot of that. I do yoga. I work out, all the time. We luckily in Colorado, it's so nice because we're kind of like in the middle of a lot of awesome outdoor stuff to do. So, yeah, we do a lot. We get out.
Yeah. We have a couple pictures of you, like this one up here. So I pulled this from your Instagram. This was, you were kayaking in Belize?
Yes, I was. Oh, well, that's so
amazing.
cool, JJ. You surprised me.
I pulled a couple things.
Oh, yeah, that was
nothing too personal.
Oh yeah, no, that was a blast. I love kayaking, and that was the best snorkeling I've ever done in my entire life. Was in Belize. I was with my good friend Mel, and we went out on this boat to go snorkeling, and she and I, we'd never done it before, and all the other people on the boat with us had been snorkeling a lot, and so they all just jump in, and so we are like, okay, here we go. We're a little bit slower, and we put our legs over and we look down, and there were all these nurse sharks just circling, and so we both just started screaming. We're like, we were screaming, and all the people were laughing. They were like, they're not gonna hurt you, they're nurse sharks. And so we're like, okay. We look at each other. I was like, all right, let's jump in on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And then I jump in, and she's still up there. She was like, I just had to make sure you weren't going to get eaten alive. Okay, I'll jump in now.
Good friend.
That's just the way she is. And then, of course, I always just jump in. That's just my personality. I just jump right in. I'm like, yeah, looks like sharks. Okay.
Trust him. He said they wouldn't hurt me.
Yeah. Oh, that's our hedgehog.
That's what I wanted to ask next. Well, actually, go back. Oh, sorry, Juliet. Can you, before we get to, let's go to the hedgehog now because we're here. This is your actual hedgehog.
Yeah.
What's her name?
That's Ophelia.
So cute.
Yeah. She's a hoot. So my neighbor had hedgehogs, and she didn't know that they were male and female until they had all these little hedgehog babies. But those hedgehogs are the cutest darn things, and they're great pets. They're really, really great pets. And we've had our fair share of pets. But yeah, that's Ophelia.
I sent it to my brother today because, because his son, the 4-year-old Dax, keeps asking him for a pet because I have a dog, and so Dax loves my dog, but my brother doesn't want a dog right now. So then he is stuck on a hamster. My brother's like, I don't want to get a hamster. They're just so boring, And then when I saw this of yours today, I sent him this, and I was like, I don't know, might be a good compromise.
Oh, they're great.
So are they like cuddly? What are they like?
So actually, sometimes you'll scare them and they prickly up, but once they get to know you and you calm them down, they don't get prickly. And my daughter would put Ophelia in her like cross purse and take her to class with her. Because she just chills out, and they're nocturnal. And so, she'll be up at night and she'll get on her little wheel and walk around. One time, my daughter wanted this cute Pinterest cage for Ophelia, and it was really, really cute, but it didn't have a really good clasp on it. And so Ophelia would get out and roam around. She was missing for 2 weeks, and we could not find her anywhere. She was in my daughter's house where she lived with 7 girls in college. So she had taken Ophelia with her to college, and she could not find Ophelia anywhere. And so it was so sad, and we were so worried. And then lo and behold, she's under her bed, like snuggled in a boot somewhere. And found her, and she was totally fine, just chilling. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad she was okay.
No, she's a great pet, so I would highly recommend a hedgehog.
All right, I'll have to tell him.
Yeah.
All right, we'll jump back. I know we're almost out of time, but I wanted to ask you about your New Zealand trip, because you said your daughter was studying abroad, but then you surfed, hiked, but also was it a cyclone? The Blackwater rafting.
The Blackwater rafting. So I don't know if you know what that is. Oh, New Zealand is phenomenal. It's such a great place. Oh, that's Lake Powell.
Yeah, that's Lake Powell. Another one on my bucket list I want to go to.
Oh, definitely see Lake Powell too. Blackwater rafting is underground rafting. So you go in these caves underground, and you have like a black light. And there's all these worms. They call them glow worms, which is actually, I guess it's like fly larvae that they're all in the caves, but they glow and they light up the caves. So you're rafting, and it's a river underground, and there's like even waterfalls and everything. So it's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's crazy because you can't see a thing. You don't know But we had a guide, so the guide would say, okay, there's a drop up here, and so that made it nice. And we had wetsuits. You had to have wetsuits on because it was pretty cold. even though we were there in the summer.
Yeah,
But,
still.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, I've never heard of that
underground.
one, so I wanted to make sure to talk to you about that.
You'll have to do it sometime.
All right, add it to the list. All right, what's one bucket list spot for you? Last question before I go. Like adventure spot.
Oh, well, I don't know if this is. I really want to go to Greece. So much. I love the beach and I love the ocean, and Greece has definitely always been one of my spots.
Pictures are so pretty with the white buildings and the blue water. Yeah. Good one. All right.
sure.
Well, thank you so much for flying in today. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really appreciate it. You're such a pleasure and so bright and positive. I just
Thank
can't
you
wait to,
so much.
to watch.
I love
next
talking
things.
with you.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
having me.
All right. Well, that's it for this week, guys. We'll see you here again next week. Have a good one.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.